Today, we're going to be talking about episode 1. Daryl Dixon. You're fucking with me. Alright, so just go ahead and buckle up. Got some real witchy shit going on around here. Creepy ass kid? Nah. I don't want any part of this.
Welcome back to The Walking David. Daryl Dixon isn't the only person who just washed ashore. It's me, your boy. So, The Walking Dead, Daryl Dixon, what are my thoughts? I will fully admit that I didn't want to watch this show. I really didn't think this show was going to hold my interest, but it blows The Walking Dead, Dead City out of the water. And onto a boat and onto the shores of France. So far, after episode 1, overall, I like the show. I know. But in fairness to myself, I said when I watched the trailer that I like the trailer. But so far, that is a very good trailer. I would give that trailer a B+ or an A-. I really would. So, despite what I've said about not looking forward to a lot of these spinoffs, that kind of piqued my interest. That's a pretty big compliment from me. I mean, I'm backpedaling. That's good. If you could make me completely just fall in love with that spinoff, I mean, kudos to you. I mean, and here's the thing. I will say this, and as an actor who's wanted to be on The Walking Dead, that trailer made me want to be in that show. And they already have started season 2 or approved it for season 2, so fingers crossed. Let's get The Walking David killed in The Walking Dead. Come on. I want Daryl Dixon to go, shut your goddamn mouth, and then just shoot me with a bolt right in the head, and then I can officially become The Walking David. You have to kill David for him to be a walker. Right now, I'm just the living David. But let's make me walk. So, it's got me intrigued. The show has me intrigued. I'll quickly try to touch on some of the things that I liked and some of the things that I didn't. Things that I liked. Although the variant walker stuff has not been addressed very well, I think the acid walkers or whatever were kind of a cool concept. It still doesn't really make sense, even in the Walking Dead lore, but maybe with a little bit more exploration, it'll make more sense. But at least visually, it's a different visual, and I appreciate that. Similar to the main show, when they kind of went back to almost medieval times for a little bit, and they had like masonry, and they're making weapons and things like that. I really like that. I like the blunderbuss. I like the old-timey guns, the 1700s revolutionary guns. I really like that. I like the morning stars, the maces and different things. I like the French weaponry, just in general, just the different styles of weaponry that they have. I like them using bayonets on the end of their guns. I like how a lot of them are sort of dressed like the French military from World War II. I just like that aesthetic. I think that looks really, really cool. Because there's moments in this that almost look like snippets from like Band of Brothers. I mean, it really does have kind of a great look. And it is some of the best visuals I've seen on The Walking Dead. I'll give it that. Not when Daryl's roaming the boring-ass French countryside, but the other stuff. In Europe in general, they just have such a love of their antiquities and, their buildings, castles. They treasure this stuff as it should be. And it's wonderful to see it in a show like this. It makes it feel almost kind of like a blend between Walking Dead and Game of Thrones. It's really nice. I like the aesthetic quite a bit, actually. I thought the main French nun, I'll worry about getting names accurate later. You're going to have to give your boy a fucking break because a lot coming at you this first episode. Having said that, the main French nun and several of the nuns that they showed were quite good. I enjoyed them quite a lot. Maybe it's because I went to a Catholic nun school when I was a child, and these seemed like the best nuns in the world by comparison, because the ones that when I grew up with these Catholic nuns, they were assholes. Nuns are assholes. That's my David Grayson 2023 presidential quote. Nuns are assholes. But these nuns, the French nuns, I would be lying if I said I didn't get like all giddy all over when I saw them grabbing weaponry and they're like, we're going to defend ourselves. Like the fighting nuns. I really like that. If I said something that I just repeated, it's because my shit died earlier and I had to replace batteries and all that crap, and I just felt like repeating myself. It's a flow thing. It's a keeping with the flow sort of thing. Do you know what I mean? So the main French nun is great. Old lady nun who died, decent. I like to call this guy French Shane, because he just makes me think of if John Bernthal was French. He's got the tattoo on his face. I like this guy, and they rushed the humanizing aspect of him. Like, he's just like, one of those guys was my brother, and she knew that she killed him. That part was really, really rushed. The actor did a great job of emoting and making it seem like he had an attachment to it, but I just didn't feel that attachment. You know what I mean? I should have had a moment where he didn't even have to say that it was his brother, and then we all discover at the same time, oh shit, his brother got killed by her, and he's about to find out. I would have liked that more. Instead of the show kind of holding your hand and walking you through it like, hey, did that one character happen to have the same last name as me? I don't know. I would have liked a little bit more showing instead of telling there. Maybe the tattoo's a family tattoo. I don't know. Did he have a tattoo on his face? The brother? The one who got stabbed with like a paddle or whatever the fuck that was? It looked like he got stabbed with like a giant screwdriver. Just me? Okay. I like just seeing Daryl kind of in the convent in general. Just that sort of fish out of waterness felt very interesting to me. Because we got a little bit of it with Gabriel, like when they were all in the church, but this is such a different setting. Like, a small town country church is so different than a Catholic convent with nuns in it. And the nuns are working and happy and laughing and doing confessions and prayers, and it's just... It's very different. It felt very immersive. This show did a very good job of, even though Daryl is a fish out of water, and by proxy, most of us Americans are fish out of water, it did a very good job of immersing you in this new world. And by the new world, I just mean France in general. And even within France being a new world, being in a convent in France is like a new world within a new world. It's very layered. It's very specific. You know what I mean? I didn't have nearly as much interest when Daryl was just roaming the French countryside. I had way more interest once he woke up in the convent. Good job of giving Daryl a bath. Showrunners, way to go! It only took 15 years. Only took 15 years, you guys. I bet he smelled still bad after that. I do like... the writers, I think, understand that Daryl works best in a situation where he's having to communicate with people who don't either speak the same language or can only really communicate with visual expression and emotion. And what I mean by that is it's like, obviously, he's not able to communicate with any of these French speakers unless if they speak English. But also, like when you look at his relationship with Connie... and how she was deaf and how she was signing, and that his thought was to learn to sign with her. And the best part about the Daryl and Connie thing was that it took a woman who didn't really talk that much and who was deaf to get Daryl to emote more. And I liked that. I thought that was an interesting notion to explore. How would a guy who's very Sigma and soft-spoken and stuff like that communicate with somebody who quite literally can't hear him, and he has to look directly at them so that they can read his lips? So he has to be engaged. He has to be locked in. He has to think about what he says. That is very interesting. And this show kind of, although different, had a little bit of a similar feel when he's trying to communicate with these French speakers. I like that. I think I would have liked him to struggle more with the French and not understanding what was going on. You know what I mean? I would have liked to see him spot a lot more visual clues to try to figure out exactly what was happening, to where we really feel like a fish out of water, like, holy shit, what are they talking about? It seems really bad, because that would ratchet up the tension really, really high. Because even if it wasn't anything bad, Daryl might perceive it as bad. And only once he runs away or they injure him and they have a chance to calm him down or capture him and explain themselves does he realize that they actually didn't mean him any harm. That's all. That's all I'm saying. I think some of the action was pretty good. It was cool to see nuns kill people. That was a rarity. Used to be a really big thing in the 80s to get, like, in Filipino action movies. Like, in the Philippines, they love revenge films, primarily religious, Catholic-based revenge films. So they would oftentimes have somebody with a big rosary bead necklace killing people, like on a rampage, in the name of God, or, to defend themselves, whatever. A lot of God's right hand type of shit. This kind of felt like a throwback to that, which honestly I enjoyed, and they set it up pretty well. They had the weapons just there visually that Daryl found. The main nun mentioned that they trained themselves to defend themselves, and they did an okay job, but they still mostly died. It's like they're still just old lady nuns for the most part. So although their defense is admirable, and it's interesting to see them fight for what they believe in, they still stood no chance. But they went down with honor. They died a warrior's death. I like it. I like that part. It's also a good way to bring the topic of faith into the show without seeming super ham-fisted, you know what I mean? They didn't overdo it, which is good. It could have easily been overdone, and it would have felt like a very, very different show. It would have felt too preachy. But I think Daryl had the perfect amount of cynicism and skepticism in this episode. But he also showed a lot of empathy. He didn't berate other people for how they believed. He just said, I haven't had a reason to. And even the older nun perceived that in him, going, I get that you don't have your faith. You felt like you never had a reason to have faith. So far, the worst part about this show is the kid. I thought the kid kind of had like a mush mouth problem, very hard to understand, even with subtitles on. And my subtitles couldn't even keep up with how murmury that kid was. I don't like the direction of making this kid sort of, well, I was going to say, I don't like the direction of making this kid sort of prescient or can see the future or whatever. That seems bizarre. But then again, in season 1 of the main show, Jim references the fact that he had a dream where he was digging holes and he couldn't remember why. So he's digging and digging and digging, and then the group gets attacked. A lot of people die, and then he goes, I remember why I dug the holes now. So there was a little bit in the beginning of the main show of kind of prescient dreams, or what do you call it? Clairvoyant dreams. So making this kid a bit of a clairvoyant or an empath or whatever, don't overdo it. Please don't make that a key point of the show. It's really not it, okay? It's not the point. And if this kid is the cure, I want to see in the next coming episode some kind of proof of that, or something that intrigues Daryl as much as it could get us intrigued. You know what I mean? Like, if you can pique Daryl's interest, then you can probably pique my interest. But right now, I'm on Daryl's side. That kid's just creepy. I don't want to do it. And he's just looking for a way out. He's looking for a way to get to a port to get back to some mission that he is on, to see what's out there. I'm excited to see where they go from here. I saw the previews for the next episode, and they're like at the dinner table or something, and they're praying, and hearing Daryl say a prayer is kind of, I don't know, that was just bizarre, but I didn't hate it. There's something kind of magnetic about a stoic character saying a prayer. It doesn't really matter what context it's in. There's just something magnetizing about it. I think it's the whole point is because it shows, even in their stoicism, this thin layer of vulnerability that is very human and not addressed. To borrow from Tony Soprano, whatever happened to Gary Cooper? You're strong, silent type. Daryl's the strong, silent type. So it's interesting to see that. And it's interesting to see him exploring it. Now, will Daryl take a complete different turn and kind of go completely the faith route? I don't think so. I think they're going to have him have a healthy amount of skepticism. But similar to like season 2 of the main show when he's referencing like chupacabras and stuff like that, and that he does believe in that stuff, I think they're going to bring some of that back in where he's maybe more superstitious, or maybe every now and then you do catch him praying in a moment of weakness. It will further his resilience. It will make him more strident in his journey to find it, because it might give him purpose. I don't know if it will give him purpose, but it might. It might be just enough to hobble him through until the next faith-shaking event happens. You know what I mean? But without faith, he wouldn't have even gotten to that point. You know what I mean? So then he can look back on it reflectively and kind of go,
well, had it been for those nuns, I never would have found you.
Kind of like that. Best part of the episode, Daryl looking at a nun and going,
you're fucking with me.
come on. That's pretty great. Second best part of the episode, the nuns getting ready for war. Nuns at war. Hashtag war nuns. The walking nuns. After years and years of letter writing, AMC finally decided to take me up on my idea and combine The Walking Dead and Sister Act. The Walking Dead back in the habit. Now, I love Daryl Dixon, and I think this show has a lot of potential. I hope they don't squander that. And I think if you make it still about people communicating, like interpersonally, but when you do have action every now and then, you really, really sell it, I think it could be quite good. Because I'm going to say it. I'm going to give this first episode, if you take out the part of Daryl wandering for like 6 minutes around the countryside, if you take that part out, 7.8. If you leave it in, 7.2. But if you recall, The Walking Dead, Dead City, I think I gave it a 6.8 overall for the whole season. So we're already starting much higher. We're starting at like a C+, which is pretty good. That means if they do one more episode well, if the next episode is above an 8, they're pretty much going to be in B territory. That's pretty damn good. I didn't think you could do it. Because the main show ended in like D or F territory. So to have a spin-off show that I had no desire to watch beyond the trailer, really, and have me now, months later, giving it a C+, and it possibly could get a B if it improves over the next couple episodes. Jaw-dropping stuff. I'm excited to see where it goes. I don't know what to call these episodes. Like David Dixon. David Dixon's discussions. Triple D. I don't fucking know. Leave a comment. What should these episodic reviews be called? Or should it just be The Walking Dead Daryl Dixon episode 1, 2, 3, 4, whatever? That's very boring. I like a good play on words or a catchy title. I really do. So if you guys could help me come up with one, that would be appreciated. I'm about to go watch episode 2. Hope it's good. Fingers crossed. And I will be back again. Here on The Walking David program. Thank you so much for watching The Walking David and this Daryl Dixon review. Please, if you'd like to see more of this content, give this video a thumbs up, leave a comment below, subscribe to this channel, and hit the bell icon so you don't miss an upload. Thanks, everybody.